Georgia looks like one of the easiest gun states in America. Permitless carry, open or concealed, no magazine limits. Sounds wide open! But Georgia gun law still has minefields, and most people only know the headlines. Carrying, driving with a gun, buying one, restricted places, and your own legal status can all change the answer so fast. Miss one of those? Constitutional carry will not save you.
Georgia became constitutional carry in 2022, but the baseline is not anyone, anything, or anywhere. For normal public handgun carry, the big age number is 21. There is an 18 and up lane for people who complete basic training in the armed forces and are either active duty or honorably discharged. But that is not a blanket rule for every 18 to 20-year-old. Georgia may let an 18 to 20-year-old possess a handgun in certain situations, but that does not mean the same person can carry a handgun in public like someone who is 21. And it definitely does not mean a gun store can sell them a handgun. We'll come back to that in purchasing. The phrase you need to know is lawful weapons carrier. If you are a lawful weapons carrier, Georgia generally lets you carry a handgun openly or concealed without first getting a Georgia weapons carry license. That means you are licensed or eligible to be licensed, and you are not otherwise prohibited from possessing or carrying a weapon. It can also include some non-residents and people licensed to carry by another state. Georgia still issues the weapons carry license, usually called a WCL, and the WCL still matters for reciprocity, federal school zone issues, and sometimes dealer purchase convenience. Now, 2 of those come back before the end. This carry baseline is mainly about handguns, but Georgia's weapon definition also includes certain knives. Rifles and shotguns sit in a different legal lane. And as of now, Georgia does not have a statewide magazine capacity limit or a so-called assault weapons style ban or a general firearm registration system. Suppressors can be legal in Georgia, but NFA items are a separate federal paperwork world. Do not treat them like normal firearms. Now, quick question for Georgia carriers. Would you still keep the Georgia WCL or let it expire now that the state has constitutional carry? Comment, keep it or let it go. Now keep that answer in mind, because it comes back when we talk about reciprocity, school zones, and where permitless carry stops with prohibited locations. The easiest way to mess up Georgia carry is a normal day. Start with school drop-off. Georgia restricts weapons in school safety zones, at school functions, and on school buses or school transportation. And Georgia makes one thing clear. It does not matter if school is in session, if the property is being used for something else that day. Do not treat school property like normal public property. For pickup and drop-off, Georgia gives lawful weapons carriers a lane as long as you keep it in the vehicle and don't handle it. Federal law also creates a K-12 school zone, meaning the school grounds and the area within 1,000 feet of them. Inside that zone, firearm possession can be a federal problem unless an exception applies, like private property, a qualifying Georgia WCL, or an unloaded firearm locked in a container inside a vehicle. Now next, you handle an errand at a government building. Georgia handles this a little differently. A government building that is open for business and not security screened is one thing. If there is screening, security personnel, and at least one certified peace officer involved, do not argue your way through the checkpoint. If security tells you the gun cannot come in, follow the lawful storage direction or immediately leave. Then come the hard red zones. Courthouses, jails, prisons, state mental health facilities, nuclear power facilities, and polling places during elections. For polling places, the number to remember is 150 feet while elections are being conducted. The building may be off limits, but Georgia sometimes gives lawful weapons carriers a separate vehicle storage lane in the parking lot. If the weapon is under your control, in the vehicle, or locked in a compartment, locked container, or locked firearms rack, that is different from walking inside armed. Now your next stop of the day is church. Places of worship have their own rule in Georgia. If the governing body or authority allows lawful weapons carriers to carry, that is one thing. If they do not allow it, Georgia permitless carry does not save you. Know the church's policy before you walk in armed. Now you go to lunch. An ordinary restaurant is not automatically off limits just because alcohol is served, but private property still controls. If the restaurant, bar, or venue says no guns, then it is no. Georgia lets private property owners exclude or eject armed customers, and refusing to leave turns it into a trespass problem. Now after lunch, you swing by a college campus. Georgia campus carry exists, but only in a narrow lane. Lawful weapons carriers may carry concealed handguns on certain public college and technical school property, but not everywhere. Dorms, sporting events, childcare spaces, faculty and admin offices, disciplinary rooms, and certain dual enrollment or specialized school class spaces are off limits. Next, you stop by the post office. State carry law does not override federal property, and USPS says you cannot have a firearm even in a vehicle in the parking lot. Check out our video diving deeper into the subject. Then you head to the airport. At a Georgia commercial airport, the restricted area starts at TSA screening. Curbside pickup and drop-off are generally outside the restricted area, but do not bring the gun to the checkpoint or beyond it. If you are flying with a firearm, it goes checked baggage only, unloaded, declared to the airline, locked in a hard-sided case. And last part of the day, parks and public transportation. Georgia law generally allows lawful weapons carriers to carry a weapon in parks, historic sites, recreational areas, wildlife management areas, and public transportation. But federal law can still override state law in specific places or buildings. Now be honest, if a Georgia business posts no guns, are you walking in unarmed or taking your money somewhere else? Comment unarmed or elsewhere. Next, let's talk about the place Georgia gives you a lot of room: your vehicle. Georgia vehicle carry is fairly gun-friendly, but your car is not a magic force field. If you are not prohibited, Georgia allows you to have or carry a weapon or long gun inside your motor vehicle. Georgia is not making you unload it, lock it in the trunk, or separate the ammo just because it is in your car. For a handgun, that could mean loaded, concealed on body, in the glove box, in the center console, or otherwise inside the vehicle. That matters especially for 18 to 20-year-olds. Vehicle possession is not the same thing as public carry, so be careful stepping out. Always remember, the car rule does not override the location-specific rules like a force field. Some restricted locations have specific parking or storage exceptions, like locked compartment, locked container, or rack language. Georgia also has a work parking lot rule. Your employer usually cannot ban a lawful possessed firearm or ammo locked out of sight in your own vehicle, but there are exceptions if you work in some sort of secure or restricted areas. But now traffic stops. The red and blue lights come on behind you, you are armed, and an officer is walking up. Georgia does not have a general duty to inform rule. You do not have to announce the gun the second the officer walks up. Georgia also says carrying a weapon by itself is not a reason to detain you just to check whether you have a WCL, an exemption, or lawful weapons carrier status. But do not get cute on the roadside. Do not reach. Do not surprise the officer by digging near the gun. Keep your hands visible. Move slow. If the officer asks about the firearm, do not lie. A false answer can create a whole new problem, even if the gun itself was legal. And for ordinary in-state carry, Georgia does not require you to have a WCL on you, because Georgia does not require a WCL to carry in the first place. The roadside is not the courtroom. If you disagree with the officer, win the legal argument later in court. Depending on the stop, an officer may secure the firearm for safety reasons. If there is no arrest, warrant, evidence issue, or other lawful reason to keep it, that should usually be temporary. But if you are prohibited, that changes everything, and that is where the next wall starts. But first, if this is helping you understand Georgia carry without needing to read the statute yourself, hit like so more gun owners actually see it. But if you are prohibited, none of the carry talk matters. Not permitless carry, not the WCL, not the car rule, not the Second Amendment argument. Possession itself may be the problem, or your public carry status may be the problem. Georgia's permitless carry system depends on being a lawful weapons carrier. That means eligibility matters. Some people hear no permit required and think that means no rules. Wrong. Georgia can deny a WCL for a long list of reasons, and those same kind of issues can destroy your carry status. Here are the big Georgia blockers. Felony convictions without pardon or restoration. Felony first offender probation, meaning even without a felony conviction, firearm possession can still be illegal while you are on that probation. Now, pending felony cases, meaning you are not convicted yet, but an actual felony case is open. Fugitive status. Drug manufacturing or distribution convictions. Certain misdemeanor drug cases inside the 5-year window. A WCL revocation inside the 3-year window. An unauthorized location conviction that has not cleared Georgia's 5-year clean period. Certain mental health adjudications or recent inpatient mental health, alcohol, or drug treatment history. And federal law stacks on top. Federally, the big categories include felons, fugitives, unlawful drug users, certain mental health adjudications, certain immigration statuses, dishonorable discharge, renounced citizenship, certain restraining orders, and misdemeanor domestic violence convictions. Georgia does not currently have a broad red flag or ERPO law, but that does not mean court orders are harmless. Certain protective orders, convictions, mental health adjudications, probation status, and old cases can still change whether you can legally possess or carry. And time alone does not always fix it. If you are legally allowed to possess, the next question is simple. How do you actually buy one in Georgia? Purchasing from a gun store in Georgia is straightforward, but it is still a federal process. First, are you even old enough? At an FFL, federal age rules apply. 18 to buy rifles or shotguns, 21 to buy handguns. Then comes the counter process. You fill out an ATF form 4473. You show valid government-issued photo ID with your current residence address. Georgia dealer sales usually run through the FBI's NICS, NICS. A valid Georgia WCL can qualify as a NICS alternative, but some dealers still run NICS anyway. When NICS is run, the answer comes back in one of 3 ways. Proceed, delay, deny. Proceed means the transfer may go forward if everything else is satisfied. Delay does not automatically mean denial. It means more review. Deny means the transfer stops. If you think that denial is wrong, now you are in appeal or challenge territory. After the federal delay window, the dealer may be allowed to transfer, but may does not mean must. For buyers under 21, federal law can extend review longer, up to 10 business days in certain cases. After the federal dealer process, Georgia does not pile on a state purchase permit, a state waiting period, or a general firearm registry. Now you might think private sales are an easier route. For a normal private sale between Georgia residents, Georgia does not require a state background check. But private does not mean law-free. You cannot knowingly sell to a prohibited person, sell to someone underage for that transfer, or cross state lines without following the federal FFL rules. Do not buy a gun for someone who cannot legally buy it themselves. If the paperwork says you are the actual buyer, but the gun is really for them, that is straw purchase territory. A real gift is different, but if they give you the money, pay you back, or cannot legally own the gun, that is not a real gift. For a normal private sale, Georgia does not require a bill of sale, but I would still keep one.
Once you understand the law, the next problem is practical. Can you actually carry every day without fighting your clothes? Jane's got you.
Hey, if you made it this far, you probably care about doing things right. If you've tried carrying in gym shorts or sweats, it just never feels quite right. Waistband moves, holster shifts, it's fine, but it's not dialed. That is why we built Relaxed Fit Tactical. Our shorts lock onto an inner belt, so your holster clips to a hidden belt, not just fabric. Same setup, same draw, just more comfortable. So if you carry every day, this just makes sense. Links below.